everybody. I'm Keith Slough, Ambassador Christian College. You know, so many times people get afraid of dying because we've all been to funerals. We don't like to go to those funerals, but we go to them and we get afraid. Sometimes you may wake up in the night thinking, oh dear, what if that happens to me this soon? I was thinking, coming here a few moments ago, about a fellow that I knew in the first grade. And I wasn't in every class with him, but I did know him even in high school. He was there. I saw him walking down the hall. And he was only 25 when he died. He was killed in a car wreck. And that is something you don't expect. You don't expect anybody to be killed in a car wreck when they're in their 20s, but then it could happen when you're 17. It could happen at any time. And you and I are probably, most of you are not in a nursing home watching this. And I've been in nursing homes, and, many times. And those people are in wheelchairs and they're in bad shape, and they could die any time. And some of the people that I have known in nursing homes, go to see them, sometimes maybe every week, talk to them, see how they're doing, and one by one, they eventually die. And people that you've gotten to know personally. I remember my mother was a nurse's assistant at the hospital years ago, before they started using the term, they called them nurses' aides in those days. Now they call them CNAs, certified nursing assistant. But she would get attached to her, patients, not customers, but patients. She'd get attached to them, and then she'd come to work in the morning and, where's so-and-so? Oh, they died during the night. And she would get emotional about it sometimes because they were not just a paycheck, they were people to her. And you and I have lost parents and grandparents, and sometimes brothers and sisters. And some of you may, heaven forbid it may have happened, you've lost children. That's really hard. And so death is the greatest enemy of man. And yet the book of Hebrews says that Christ has destroyed him that had the power of death. Jesus Christ is going to bring us back. I think about that scripture in 1 Thessalonians 5:23, where it says, may your whole spirit and soul and body be preserved blameless to the coming of the Lord. And so when you die, all of us have been to the graveyard. Think about that person laying there 5 or 6 feet under. And we think one day I'll be down there. No, you won't. You will never be in the grave. Your body will be. But it's, I think in 2 Corinthians 5, where it talks about our body is like a tabernacle. A tabernacle is the building you live in. You live in your body. Now, if your house burned down and you're not in it, doesn't matter what happened to your house. People get their bodies cremated, but they're not in their body when that happens. The day you die, Ecclesiastes 12:7 says, when a person dies, his body goes back to the dust eventually, whether it's quickly through cremation or whether it's over a period of centuries, very gradually. But either way, his body goes back to the dust, but his spirit goes back up to God who gave it. And so you're not going to the grave. You'll never be in the graveyard. Think about that. But you're going to be with Christ. It is such an encouraging thing. When people are afraid to die, you'll find out usually they're not Christians. That's why they're afraid to die. I've heard the story about Voltaire, how he died. He was an atheist, very famous atheist. And on his deathbed, he was screaming, get me a priest, which was incongruous with his lifestyle because he was called at that time in the 1800s, the Antichrist of Europe. And he was begging his closest friends to go get him a priest to pray for him. Boy, talk about an atheist. What kind of an atheist is it that wants people to pray for him? Deep down in our hearts, we know there is a God. We really do, deep in our hearts. Even atheists, they say there are no atheists in foxholes. When the bombs start falling, all of a sudden you start praying. And people that don't believe in God will all of a sudden, just in case there is, start praying. We believe in God in our hearts, whether we want to admit it or not. And those of us who have come to God's Son, Jesus Christ, according to John 3:16, we have a glorious future. Our body will go to the grave, but don't worry about it. Heaven forbid, but tonight you may draw your last breath at 3 o'clock in the morning and you'll be sound asleep and won't even know about it. You won't wake up in bed the next morning, but you'll wake up in the resurrection. Think about that. You're going to wake up in the resurrection. And here's the beautiful thing about it. Our loved ones, our parents and 'They're not just in our past, they're actually in our future. Your parents are in your future. I've lost my parents, but not forever, just temporarily, because Jesus is going to come back. And I'm going to spend eternity with my mother and my father. Oh, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Grandma again and Grandpa. You know, I lived right beside of them growing up as a kid, and I'm looking forward to being with them again. And I'm going to be. But not only that, I'm going to get to meet the Apostle Paul. You might say, now hold on, Keith, why would the Apostle Paul ever want to talk to somebody unimportant like you? Well, he probably wouldn't initially. I mean, Paul's going to want to be meeting all the famous people like Isaiah and Jeremiah. He doesn't want to meet me. But eternity is such a long time. And the fact of the matter is, there will be time to eventually, maybe a long time from now, but eventually, after he's met all the famous people and all the important people, eventually he'll get around to people like me, and we'll sit down over a glass of tea and talk. And I'll meet Paul one day, and so will you, and Peter, and James, and John. I'm going to meet these people. I'm going to meet Isaiah and Jeremiah. I'm actually looking forward to meeting George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, because I believe they'll certainly be in God's kingdom. You and I are going to be in God's kingdom. That's our future. With our parents, our grandparents, relatives, loved ones that we've lost, we really haven't lost anybody. Not really. They're just away. They're just away. Their spirits with God, but Jesus is bringing them back. I'm out of time. Be sure to listen every Saturday morning. And by the way, the Passover is coming up. Now, I say every Saturday morning. This coming Saturday, we'll be meeting at here. We'll be starting our live stream at 6 p.m. this Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. For those of you who live on the West Coast or in some other country. So 6 o'clock Eastern time in the United States. And I'm going to be giving a message about the Passover. And then that night at 8 o'clock after sundown here, we're actually going to be taking the Passover communion elements, the bread and the wine. So be with us for this coming Saturday.
One thing we keep forgetting to tell them, there's going to be an intermission in between the end of the 6 p.m. service and the beginning of the 8 p.m. service.
Yeah, because my sermon will go from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock. There'll be a 1 hour intermission. And if you're watching us live and you're on the East Coast, after sundown, you can take it with us wherever you are. Or if you're on the West Coast, just wait a couple of hours, 2 or 3 hours till the sun goes down, but you can still watch us because it's going to be archived, right?
Yes.
So no matter where you are in the world, you can be with us and watch it as you
Facebook has
take
started deleting videos once they're 30 days old, but they're always on YouTube forever.
They're on YouTube forever.
YouTube is still forever.
Okay, good. So be with us this coming Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern time.